Today I'm going to be using a 4mm hook, and if you guys want to follow this pixel grid, here it is up on the screen, and also check out my Pinterest for all of my other posts. Now this isn't going to be much of a tutorial, but here's a little rundown. Basically we work from right to left, so I have labeled my grid all the way up. Now I'm going to chain the amount for the grid. This one was about 19 stitches, so we always add one more for the turning chain. And I decided to tweak the pattern a little bit because instead of starting off the first row with color changes, I just single crocheted with white. And then you can mark your first stitch if you need to, but I don't really do this anymore. So now finally the first color change is coming up, so I'm taking the red and adding it onto my hook. So I'm crocheting all of the tails in and basically just carrying the yarn as I go. And I'm following the grid, so I have to pick up white to continue. For symmetrical grids like this, you kind of don't need to look right to left if you don't want to, but I still like to follow the rule anyways. And don't forget to count your stitches to make sure you know how many you're doing in a certain color. And I chain one when I'm starting a new row. But yeah, after that it's pretty easy. You just have to keep following the grid. And so then you'll be left with one side that looks pretty clean and then another that looks messy. I'm gonna keep looking at my grid and then I'll come back when I get to the more interesting part. And here's the back side of the grid. Honestly, it doesn't even look bad. So the quote-unquote messy side isn't that messy yet. And that's pretty much because I'm carrying the yarn. That's a little more difficult if you have more colors to use in your pattern, but I don't, so. And there's a little bit of a downside with carrying the yarn because sometimes you can see it through the other side, but this genuinely doesn't bother me most times. If you're floating the yarn, you won't really see it through the stitches at all. Yeah, then when you don't need your other color anymore, you can just cut it off. Now I actually want to do something with the grid, so I'm making a pouch. I'm taking the same measurements and single crocheting in white. And if you've never done a pixel grid at all before, I'll link some videos down below. But here's how mine turned out, and I hope you had fun making your own.